Today we delve into a class that personifies speed, ferocity, and tactical chaos in defense, the Mutant class. These champions not only possess extraordinary abilities, each one of them is designed to test your reflexes, strategy, and patience. On the battlefield, a mutant is not just another rival. It is a constant challenge, a force that adapts and punishes every mistake with surgical precision that makes Santantenido's mutant defenders elusive, able to evade your most calculated attacks. They can disrupt your combat rhythm, interrupting combos and generating advantages while you try to react. His bangs combine handicap effects, slowly damaging your health bar and making it harder for your strategy to work as you planned. Even the most experienced summoners know that a single mistake against a mutant defender can be lethal, and that every move requires absolute attention in mutant defense. Every second counts. Your champions can apply militant handicaps, dodge attacks, and toward passive upgrades, and turn even the best players into victims of your aiming and map control, where every hit, every dodge, and every under-attack attempt can be used against you. Today, we are going to find out who the 5 most lethal mutant defenders are, those who can ruin your streak in alliance wars, complicated nodes, and competitive. These champions not only defend, dominate, wear down, and frustrate every matchup against them. It's a battle of wits, patience, and reflexes. Prepare to learn about the impossible walls to bring down champions that make even the strongest teams stop dead. This is the top 5 of the best mutant class defenders in Marvel Superhero Battle. In position number 5, we find Aviso, an immutable time traveler, a defender who transforms any fight into a true strategic nightmare. Their presence is not only intimidating, but forces any summoner to think every move, because a single mistake can be the difference between surviving and being eliminated in seconds. Why is Bishop instilling so much fear in the defense? Master of time and accumulated power, Bishop does not forget your mistakes. Each defeat that causes him translates into an advantage for the next fight, since he will start with more power bar, ready to pressure you from the first moment. This means that the more you underestimate them, the more dangerous it becomes, and each combat becomes a test of patience and strategy. Sub-Attack 1 is unlockable. The sentence of fire under Attack 1 not only ignores any blocking attempts, but also places tilt disadvantages if you stay close that will slowly consume your life, transforming every second into relentless torment. Just trying to attack him while this handicap is active on 1 is an invitation to your own destruction. Which is overcome then 2, the hammer of time is overcome then 2 becomes unblockable. Get ready, Bishop will unleash a hurricane of unstoppable damage capable of annihilating most attackers with a single well-calculated move. Every blow is a warning, every mistake is paid for in blood, and every moment it does not neutralize makes it more formidable. Apart from that, it has efficiencies and regeneration. Since it not only damages, its efficiencies are strengthened, the damage and attacks increase, and while it maintains the blockade, it activates regeneration, prolonging the fight and wearing out the attacker little by little. Every second that passes, Bishop becomes an uncontrollable storm of fury and precision. So how do we beat him? Well, the key is to use counters immune to incineration, neutralizing the devastating effect of Super Attack 1 and preventing your health bars from slowly vaporizing. Another strategy is to bring champions that burn or drain power to limit the buildup of your Super Attack bars and keep you in check. Patience and strategy are your allies. One mistake and Bishop will turn your offensive into ruins. In summary, Vision is not just a mutant defender, he is a living legend of the goal, a wall of destruction that Castilla wears down and dominates the rhythm of the fight. His relentless precision and his paw, which without blocking and constant regeneration, make him a fearsome enemy, capable of turning any confrontation into an epic challenge where only the most skilled survive. At number 4, we find Mr. Sinister, the scientific genius and genetic manipulator, who has gone from being a dangerous antagonist to an unstoppable force in both attack and defense. Thanks to Caban's recent bugs, if you thought your threat was limited to dealing damage with devastating hits, brace yourself. His defensive ability is now equally formidable, making him a wall of resistance and a real headache for any summoner who dares to face him. What makes it so lethal? Well, he has regeneration with critical hits, the unstoppable wall. Every critical hit you give him is a gift for him because Mr. Sinister recovers much of the damage received. making trying to eliminate them with yellow swipes alone an almost impossible mission. The more aggressive you are, the stronger it becomes, and your every mistake is brutally punished, forcing you to carefully plan each attack from accumulation of hemorrhages and degeneration. Although he is almost immune to bleed, his abilities allow him to turn those bleeds into a weapon against you when you cast his sub-attack. Even if you block him, he turns accumulated bleeds into degeneration, a disadvantage that none has. This character is immune, dealing constant damage and draining your resources while he stays intact with every passing second. Mr. Sinister turns your offense into a self-infringing defeat. And Goals and Po, that too has a strategic concussion as it leaves the concussion disadvantage, drastically reducing the accuracy of your skills and limiting your ability to react. This means that trying to make stops with your defensive skills will become increasingly complicated while controlling the flow of combat and forcing you to make mistakes that pay dearly. So how do we defeat him? A more effective strategy is to have champions that block his massive regeneration like Warlock so that every hit you hit really counts. Another option is to use champions that do not rely on critical hits to deal damage, such as with Lantern or Guardian, preventing your guard from being activated and maintaining a constant flow of damage in general. Facing Mr. Sinistra requires patience, strategy, and combat control, because everyone lost can tilt the fight in your favor. In short, Mr. Sinister is not just a fearsome attacker, he is a master survival strategist, capable of regenerating, applying degeneration, and limiting your accuracy, all while maintaining absolute control of combat in the current mind of the mutant class. Facing him is a test of skill and patience. Every decision counts, and every mistake can be lethal. In position number 3, we find Dust, the master of sand and particles, a character who not only stands out for her offensive power, but has earned a fearsome place in defense, becoming a real nightmare for any summoner. Her abilities not only affect the lives of rivals, but they undo the patience, precision, and strategy of whoever dares to face her. Even the most powerful devices can be affected, since in resuscitation of sand and particles, for this it is only a visual bonus compared to the true threat he poses in combat. That makes Dust so dangerous on defense is immune to stops, since each grape of dust does not inflict contact, which means that trying to make a stop on him is completely useless. Attackers who rely on accurate stops will see their attempts constantly thwarted, as Dust keeps his offensive active and constant. Aside from that, it has Dust disadvantages whenever you block or cut a Dust attack. She applies Dust disadvantages to you at first to have harmless ones, but as the fight unfolds, these disadvantages begin to drain your life and difficulty from your attacks, increasing her control over the fight. Every move you make while these disadvantages are active penalizes and slowly wears you down, making the fight become a true war of patience and precision. And lastly, it has the deflection, as Dust possesses the ability to deflect your hits, meaning your attacks don't always deal all the damage they should. This frustrating mechanic makes even prolonged fights dangerous, as your attempts to demand constant damage can be partially nullified, forcing you to search for strategic openings with surgical precision. Apart from that, assuming that if the Sandstorm when 2 accumulates several Dust disadvantages, it unleashes its Sandstorm, an ability that consumes the opponent's life through its accumulated disadvantages, making every second you spend within its radius of action is critical. In addition, she generates power efficiencies and effectiveness, which increases damage on attacks and reduces power consumption, making her a defender who can sustain her offensive indefinitely if not controlled. Not only are his attacks powerful, but their cumulative effect makes each attack become more lethal as the fight progresses. Therefore, how do we defeat her, or you have to avoid unnecessary stops and blocks, since if the blocks you try to stop her, you give her the opportunity to place Dust disadvantages. So the key is to stay calm and not fall into their defensive traps, apart from carrying appropriate counters. Champions that can apply Incineration or Plasma are essential to eliminate Dust's disadvantages, reducing their defensive ability and allowing you to gain real damage. And apart from that, you have to take advantage of the advantages of vulnerability. Forcing Dust to use his "It's True That One," which is the easiest to evade, will give you the opportunity to take control of the fight and limit the impact of his Sandstorm. In short, Dust is a true defensive wall within the mutant class. Her combination of Dust disadvantage, diversion, Sandstorm, and power effectiveness enhanced super attacks makes her one of the most annoying, strategic, and feared defenders of the current meta. Facing her is not simply a combat, it is a test of patience, tactics, and precision, where every decision counts and every mistake can be fatal. As we progress through these top 5 mutant defenders, the tension becomes almost palpable. We're not just talking about champions anymore. We are talking about absolute threats from entities that dominate the battlefield and that force the will of those who dare to confront them. At number 2, we find Onslaught, the lethal fusion of Charles Xavier's tactical mind with Magneto's destructive power. Onslaught is a mutant. He is not just any mutant. He is a psychic entity whose sole purpose is to dominate, destroy, and impose a presence that sows causes and fear wherever it steps. Since his arrival at the games, he has consolidated himself as one of the most oppressive and challenging defenders, and at times to him. It is not a simple physical combat, but a mental war. Even the most veteran summoners get chills when they see it on the map, because every move you make can be used against you. What makes it so devastating on defense? Well, he has absolute control over the pace of combat, and here Oluwad accumulates ionic charges that harm him and reduces your capabilities, generates confusion, and alters the perception of the fight. And it makes even the most accurate gamers fail. Then it also has Neuroshock drawbacks. Each attack can impose Neuroshock disadvantages that wear down your health bar and incapacitate you, weakening your ability to respond, while combat control has resistance. Solution to damage: as Oslock is almost indestructible, his ability to absorb damage makes him fearsome even against strong counters, and his mastery of space turns any node into his territory, where every step you take can be punished. It also has super attacks and defensive tactics, since learning to avoid super attack 1 is the key. One mistake can mean massive and inevitable damage. Besides, you have to bring immune champions to Neurosom such as Maker. It is essential to mitigate the constant damage infringing its disadvantages. In addition, other effective counters include There with Lantern or Solvarch, which can reduce your power accumulation and offer safe attack advantages. In short, Oslo is not just a mutant, he is a mental and physical force that controls, wears down, and dominates every confrontation. It's a challenge to your reflexes, your strategy, and your patience. Overcoming it requires planning, knowledge, and the correct counters, because in its territory, every second counts and every mistake pays dearly. And in position number 1 returns the flame, the mind, the uncontrollable force. Gingrey. We're not just talking about a powerful mutant. Gingrey is a force, nature, a genetic anomaly that warns all who dare to stand up to her. This time, no one is prepared. Needed in mind, Gingrey is an absolute challenge, constant neuroshock. Every blow you receive, every contact you achieve can trigger neuroshock disadvantages. Remain on your resources and limit reaction life. Her super attack 1 passively handicap this if it catches you, making every second in combat a test of endurance and strategy from a relentless shield, as Jean Grey is protected by a shield that she must carefully break before inflicting real damage. Every hasty attempt is punished and the damage you manage to apply out of control is minimal. Other than that, it has reverse controls. Once you manage to break the shield, you activate these reversed controls, altering the way your attacks and moves work. Every hit, every dodge, every over-attack becomes more difficult, transforming the power into true mental chaos. Aside from that, he has power acceleration, as Gingrey charges his power bars faster than most champions, allowing him to launch his super attacks frequently, maintaining constant pressure on the attacker and reducing your advantages to react. So how do we defeat her? Well, basically, you have to bring characters that apply these advantages over time, since it is crucial to quickly reduce your shield and allow you to do real damage. Also, you have to have immune characters or reversed controls, as it's vital to maintain mobility and keep those attacks from destroying you while you're disoriented. And besides, you always have to force her to use her over-attack too, which, although dangerous if she were to connect you, is easier to avoid than trying to face her constant pressure unprepared. Summary: Jean Grey is not just a mutant, she is an unstoppable wall of defensive damage control, capable of altering the way any summoner plays. Your Neuroshock shield control combination has been reversed. Her power acceleration makes her the most feared mutant defender of all. Facing it requires patience, strategy, and the appropriate counters, because every second can be a fatal oversight. We have traveled a path full of strategy, skill, and tension, where each champion we mention is not just a character, it is a challenge, an impossible wall to ignore, a test of patience and skill. From Bishop, the lethal chronicler who punishes every mistake, through Mr. Sinister, the master of regeneration and degeneration, to Dust, the living storm who controls the field of disadvantage of devastating attack, then Oslo, the psychic entity that bends your mind and reflexes, and finally Jean Grey, the mutant who redefines defense with her shield in Euroshocks and reverse controls, making it clear that facing her is a test for the bravest. Summoners, remember that this top is personal based on my experience facing and using these champions. If you have other mutant defenders that you consider equally lethal, do not hesitate to put it in the comments, always with respect, because the Marvel community is full of different strategies and perspectives. Also, if you need help with any mission in the game, whether it's Katsan 8 or 9.3 or any other complicated mission, you can hire me through my WhatsApp that you have in the description. They will help you overcome any challenge and get everything you need to get the amazing prizes. Thank you for joining me on this epic journey. Each defender we show today is a challenge wall, and now you have the keys to face and master them. Don't forget to subscribe, give it a like, and if you want more top epics, strategy guides, and advice about Marvel or 3 Higher, see you in the next video. Bye bye.